What if the most valuable things in your yard are the ones you've been trying to kill? We as Americans spend millions of dollars and countless hours spraying, pulling, and cursing weeds. We've kind of been programmed to do that by decades of propaganda about perfect lawns. But while we're fighting for that perfect lawn, we're accidentally throwing away a literal backyard medicine cabinet. I'm talking about nuisance plants that carry the power to soothe a chronic cough, settle your digestive system, and even erase the consequences of last night's bad decisions, better than anything in the drugstore. Today on Edible America, we are stopping the war on weeds. I'm going to show you 7 common plants you've probably stepped on 1,000 times that you should actually be foraging for your medicine cabinet. From the invasive vine that's been a staple of Chinese medicine for centuries to the common garden inhabitant that's better for your skin than expensive lotions. Ready to dive in? If you don't think weed is a bad word, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. First up is the plant that literally inspired the invention of Velcro, Burdock. Back in 1941, a Swiss engineer named Georges de Maistre and his Irish setter dog went on a hike and came back covered in those stubborn, sticky seed pods. Most of us would just be annoyed, but he put one under a microscope and discovered thousands of tiny microscopic hooks. Those hooks became the multi-billion-dollar invention we use today, Velcro. But the plant isn't just a master of engineering, it's a master of medicine as well. In the world of herbalism, burdock is known as the ultimate cleaner. It's a powerful diuretic that helps flush the lymphatic and urinary systems, and it's been used for countless generations as a natural way to ease constipation and get your digestion back on track. And don't overlook those elephant ear leaves. If you're dealing with a stubborn rash or eczema, you can crush those leaves into a poultice and apply them directly to the skin to calm the inflammation. The best part, because it's so sticky and grows those huge leaves, it's one of the easiest medicinal weeds to identify. Just remember, if you're going for the root, bring a sturdy shovel. Those things can grow 3 feet deep, anchored into the earth like they know exactly how valuable they really are. Most gardeners see these tiny white star-shaped flowers and think, invasive ground cover. But chickweed is a triple threat in the medicine cabinet. First, it's an incredible emollient. It's packed with saponins, natural compounds that act like a gentle soap to help the body absorb nutrients. But on the skin, they work to pull out heat. If you have itchy, irritated skin, or even a minor burn, you can mash this up into a poultice and cool things down on contact. But it's not just for the outside of your body. If you're dealing with a dry, hacking cough that just won't quit, chickweed is a demulcent. That means it creates a thin, soothing film of mucilage that coats your throat. A simple tea made from the fresh leaves can help soothe that irritation and provide some much-needed relief. And just like burdock, it acts as a mild diuretic, helping your body stay balanced by flushing excess water. It's also a nutritional powerhouse loaded with vitamin C, magnesium, and potassium. It's a gentle, kind plant, even if it's a bit invasive. There's a reason it's been a staple in European folk medicine for hundreds of years. Commonly known as ground ivy, or historically as gill over the ground, Glechoma hederacea, or creeping Charlie, is a member of the mint family. You can easily identify it by its square stems and scalloped, kidney-shaped leaves. I personally have this stuff all over the shadier parts of my yard. While homeowners despise it for its ability to rapidly overtake a lawn via runners, it was actually brought to North America, wisely or not, by European settlers specifically for its medicinal and brewing properties. The dried, crushed leaves of Creeping Charlie are a potent respiratory tool. The plant contains high concentrations of volatile oils, particularly pelargon and menthol, alongside ursolic acid, which has documented anti-inflammatory properties. When brewed into a tea, these compounds act like an expectorant, thinning the mucus in the respiratory tract and making it easier for the body to clear out congestion. This is why it's been a traditional remedy for bronchitis, stubborn coughs, and even tinnitus or ear congestion, as it helps drain the fluid-filled passages of the head and chest. Creeping Charlie is also remarkably high in vitamin C, so much so that it was once used by the Royal Navy as a preventative against scurvy during long sea voyages. It also contains rosmarinic acid, a polyphenol studied for its antioxidant and antimicrobial effects. Beyond the lungs, it acts as a mild astringent and diuretic. Because it's rich in tannins, a tea or wash made from the leaves can help tighten tissue, which is why it was historically used to treat lead colic in painters and metal workers, helping to bind and flush toxins from the system. It's a hardy, resilient plant that literally carpets the earth with a pharmacy. A quick note, while polygon is the engine that makes this plant work for your lungs, in extremely high concentrated doses it can be tough on the liver. It's perfectly safe and effective as a standard tea, but like any medicine, natural or otherwise, moderation is the key. If you want to see exactly how to use Creeping Charlie, I've actually put together a recipe for Creeping Charlie respiratory tea. It's a simple recipe. You just take about 2 teaspoons of the dried herb, or a small handful of fresh leaves, and steep them in hot water for about 10 minutes. Pro tip, make sure to cover the mug while it steeps. Those aromatic oils that help clear your lungs are volatile, meaning they'll escape with the steam if you don't trap them in. I posted the full recipe over on my Substack. You can find the link in the description below. It's a great resource to print out and keep in your kitchen as you start building that medicine cabinet. Often dismissed as the ultimate lawn eyesore, Dandelion is arguably one of the most nutritionally and medicinally dense plants on the planet. But it wasn't always a weed. In fact, dandelion didn't become an enemy of the American homeowner until after World War II. During the post-war suburban boom, chemical companies began marketing broadleaf herbicides. To sell more product, they launched a massive advertising war, rebranding this ancient medicinal staple as a nuisance to justify the pursuit of a chemically dependent monoculture lawn. Before the propaganda took hold, every part of the plant, from the flower to the root, was a prized resource and a staple in the kitchen. The primary scientific value of dandelion lies in its role as a choleretic and cholagogue. This means that it stimulates the liver to produce bile and causes the gallbladder to release it, which is essential for breaking down fats and filtering toxins from the bloodstream. The bitter compounds in the leaves, known as sesquiterpene lactones, trigger bitter receptors that signal the digestive tract to begin secreting enzymes, making it a premier remedy for indigestion and bloating. The leaves are also a powerful diuretic, but with a unique biological advantage. While pharmaceutical diuretics can cause the body to lose vital potassium, dandelion leaves are so naturally high in potassium that they replenish the body's levels as they flush excess fluids from the kidneys. For skin injuries, the white milky latex in the stem contains alkaloids with antimicrobial properties historically used to treat warts and minor infections. Additionally, the root is rich in inulin, a prebiotic fiber that supports a healthy gut microbiome. When you look at the history and the chemistry, the dandelion isn't a lawn intruder. It's a complete metabolic regulator that we were talked into hating. The reason you'll never see Dandelion Awareness Month sponsored by a major corporation is simple. You can't patent a weed. There's zero profit incentive to tell you that the most effective liver support or the best antihistamine for your allergies is growing for free in your backyard. Nature doesn't have a marketing budget or a lobbyist, and you don't have to imply malice to see how profit-seeking often edges out well-being. When you forage, you aren't just finding free food, you're opting out of a cycle where you're forced to pay a premium for solutions that have been right under your feet the whole time. Despite its intimidating name, purple dead nettle doesn't sting. It's called dead because its hairs lack the formic acid found in stinging nettles. It's a member of the mint family, distinguishable by its square stem and fuzzy spade-shaped leaves that transition from green to vibrant purple at the top. Medicinally, purple dead nettle is a powerhouse of flavonoids, specifically quercetin. Quercetin is a natural antihistamine and anti-inflammatory, which makes this an essential forage for anyone suffering from seasonal allergies. It works by stabilizing mast cells, the ones responsible for releasing histamines in response to pollen and dust. Beyond allergies, it's a potent astringent and hemostatic. It contains high levels of tannins which contract and shrink body tissue. This makes it incredibly effective as a wash or poultice to stop minor bleeding, tighten skin irritations, or treat external wounds. From a chemical perspective, the plant is also rich in germicreme, a volatile oil that has demonstrated antifungal and antibacterial properties. It also acts as a mild diuretic, helping the body to process waste through the kidneys. And because it is one of the first plants to emerge in late winter, it provides a crucial, early season source of medicine right when our immune systems are often at their lowest. Now, you'll often see the plant growing alongside a lookalike called henbit. They love the same soil and the same weather, and while they might look like twins, there is a simple trick to tell them apart. Henbit leaves wrap all the way around the stem like a little ruffled collar, whereas dead nettle leaves have their own short stems and hang down like shingles on a roof. But here's the best part. If you confuse the two, it's perfectly okay. Henbit is also a member of the mint family, and the entire plant above the ground is completely edible. And it carries its own medicinal properties as a mild fever reducer and a great source of iron. Want to know more about the nettle family, including how to eat purple dead nettle and henbit? Check out the video in the card. Commonly referred to as yellow dock or curly dock, this plant is often found standing tall in disturbed soil and pastures. While many see its rusty brown seed heads as a sign of a neglected field, it is actually one of the most effective field dressings in the natural world. The stems and leaves of dock are rich in anthraquinone glycosides, which have a stimulating effect on the digestive system, but for immediate field use, the plant is a premier antidote to stings. When the stems, not the leaves, are crushed or chewed, they release a mucilaginous sap that is highly alkaline, helping to neutralize the acidic formic acid found in a stinging nettle. Dock also contains small amounts of natural antihistamines. This dual action, neutralizing the acid while simultaneously counteracting the body's histamine response, is why it's such a legendary field-side cure. Internally, dock is a heavy lifter for the blood and liver. The root is a concentrated source of iron as organic compounds. Because the iron is bound to organic molecules, it's far more bioavailable and easier on the stomach than many synthetic iron supplements you buy at the store. It also contains rumicin and chrysophanic acid, which stimulate the liver and help move bile. The plant also acts as an alterative, meaning it gradually restores proper function to the body's eliminatory tissues. Whether you are using it as a natural Benadryl for a bee sting or as a root decoction to support your liver and clear up chronic skin conditions from the inside out, dock is a foundational plant for any forager's medicine chest. If you live south of the Mason-Dixon line, you know exactly what this plant is. It's the vine that ate the South. Introduced to the U.S. in the late 1800s for erosion control, kudzu now blankets over 7 million acres of the American landscape. But while most see an unstoppable green monster, we can also see a nutritional and medicinal powerhouse that's been a staple of Chinese medicine for over 2,000 years. The true secret of kudzu lies in its massive starch-rich roots, which contain high concentrations of isoflavones, specifically purinin, daidzein, and daidzein. These compounds are remarkable for their effects on the neurotransmitters in the brain. In fact, researchers at Harvard Medical School have conducted clinical studies on kudzu extract, showing its ability to significantly reduce alcohol consumption. The science suggests it works by increasing blood flow and making the buzz happen faster, which naturally causes people to drink less. Beyond curbing cravings, purinin helps treat the consequences of a night of bad decisions, stabilizing blood sugar and increasing cranial blood flow to ease nausea, flu-like aches, and that heavy brain fog. These same isoflavones act as powerful anti-inflammatories and antispasmodics, making kudzu root an effective treatment for migraine headaches, stiff necks, and even mild hypertension. In the kitchen, kudzu is just as versatile. You can find kudzu powder in Asian grocery stores where it is prized as a superior gluten-free thickening agent that's easy on the digestive tract. Even the purple blossoms, which smell exactly like grape soda, are edible and high in antioxidants. In America, we are locked in a desperate battle to eradicate this vine, and for good ecological reason. It's been an ecological disaster that we created, but as long as it's here, we might as well recognize the science. We are currently being invaded by a plant that offers a potent, free pharmacy to anyone willing to harvest it. While we may not be able to eradicate kudzu simply by harvesting it, we could possibly keep it in check and turn a disaster into a sustainable resource. A massive word of caution about kudzu. Do not harvest this anywhere near a highway, power line, or railroad. Because kudzu is an ecological villain, city and state spray crews target it relentlessly. They don't just use standard Roundup either, which is already at the center of massive health litigation, but they often use heavy-duty residual herbicides like triclopyr or tordon. These chemicals are designed to soak into the root and stay in the plant's system for a long time. If you see kudzu that looks yellow, wilted, or twisted in a weird way, leave it alone. Only harvest from deep private property or wild areas where you can verify no chemicals have been used. You're foraging for health, so don't let a state spray crew turn your medicine into a toxin. The best part about these herbs, and so many others, is that they can be easily dried and stored, meaning that backyard pharmacy stays open all year long. You don't have to be an expert to start, you just have to be curious. If you harvest a little bit today and dry it in a corner of your kitchen, you're already miles ahead of where you were yesterday. So the next time you look out at your lawn and see a weed, I want you to remember that you aren't looking at an intruder. You're looking at a forgotten inheritance. For decades, we've been fed a narrative that a perfect lawn is a status symbol. But that's just a story sold to us by the same companies that sell us the poisons to maintain it and the synthetic pills to replace what the plants do for free. It's time we shut down the propaganda and start reclaiming the knowledge our ancestors took for granted. I mean, we are quite literally the only species on this planet that has to pay to eat. Sustainability isn't just about big global shifts. It's about the radical act of sourcing your own medicine and food from the soil beneath your feet. It's about recognizing that nature provides a surplus, and instead of poisoning that abundance, we can harvest it, share it with our community, and turn a nuisance into a truly sustainable resource. Nature doesn't charge for its services, and it doesn't require a prescription. It just requires us to pay attention. In a nation struggling with food affordability and ever-decreasing access to affordable healthcare, these plants aren't just weeds. Nature is offering us a lifeline. Which of these weeds is currently taking over your yard? Let me know in the comments. If you found this video helpful, or at least entertaining, hit that like button and subscribe to Edible America. Share this video with someone who's still out there pulling burdock or spraying dandelions. Let's help them see the pharmacy they're missing. And as always, eat the weeds.